Thank you, everybody, for braving the cold, coming out to our January Wards Corner Civic League meeting. Welcome to all residents, student guests, city staff, everybody. So, if you don't know me, I'm Scott Gerlinger, your Wards Corner Civic League president for at least another hour and a half. All right. So thank you for coming out. We do meet every other month in this facility, except not in July. And we will have social events in the other months. So we'll get to some of that later. Is there anyone that's brand new or hasn't been here in a long time who wants to introduce themselves at all?
I'm brand new.
Okay.
Lynn Crump just moved to the neighborhood, but also a town bank employee at the Ghent branch.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. All right. You want to say hi?
I'm Brad Racer, Burley Avenue, and
It's been a
long-time
minute.
participant and new to the up and coming.
Brad did this a while back. All right. I will get us kicked off with our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Officer, I'll turn it over to you for our update.
Sure. Since you guys are meeting every other month, I went back 60 days for your report instead of 30. December 7th, 400 block of Burleigh had a larceny from auto. Vehicles left unsecured and items were taken. 1225, 500 block Grantham Road, you had a robbery to an individual. Cleared by arrest. Suspect was known to the victim. They knew each other. On January 2nd, 77 block Doris Drive, you had a larceny attempt from auto. Vehicle was rummaged through, but nothing was taken. On 1-5, 7300 block Newport Avenue, you had a larceny. Tools were stolen from a job site toolbox. Same day, same location, there was a burglary non-residential. One of the containers containing construction site equipment was also broken into and items were stolen. On January 10th, 7700 block Doris Drive, you had a domestic aggravated assault, boyfriend on girlfriend. It was cleared by arrest. The officers arrived on scene, made the determination, and the arrest was made. On January 23rd, 100 block Birmingham Avenue, you had a burglary to a residential. Locking mechanism on the door was damaged. The firearm and game consoles were stolen. And in the Wards Corner shopping area, there were 15 shopliftings in the past 60 days. That's what I have for you.
That's the whole business district?
That's the Wards Corner side.
Okay.
Do I have anything for me? Any questions? I think I'm looking off to see.
I've seen on next door, there's some people reporting like shootings, like up on the north side of Little Creek. I think like, but
700 block West Little Creek.
Okay, so
we had some incidents up there. The residents, we assisted the apartment complex, the ones behind 7-Eleven there, 700 block. We assisted the management in the eviction of the people that they believe were behind those incidents. So there were a couple, several, like 3 incidents, I believe. The officers made 1 arrest, and a firearm was recovered. No, because it's sometimes like civic leagues don't cover every set. So like there's Wards Corner ends right there at the end of Grantham, and then Titus Town doesn't start till like 7700 Armfield Ave. So there's like that.
Nothing.
So there's like a little gap in between. So,
but that was why people north of Little Creek probably hearing it and calling.
Right.
Okay.
So sometimes the sound will travel, so we get calls from that area. So they could hear it as far up as like Terminal Boulevard. Some of the calls came in saying they heard it up there, but I'm pretty sure that was the location.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Lee, do you guys want to say something about the rec
Hey,
center?
everybody, good evening. For those of you who do not know me, I am Lee. I am the facility supervisor here at Town Recreation. First off, welcome to the facility. I hope you guys have been enjoying your stay here and looking forward to the continued stay over the next little bit of time. Just want to give you an update of what our facility has been doing and what we've been doing for the community and everything. This past November, we served a full Thanksgiving meal to our community. We serviced over 150 people a free Thanksgiving meal in partnership with the Fatehi, which is right around the corner from here. December, we did a Pancakes with Santa event where we had some kids come in. We raffled off some bikes and a couple of other fun little gifts for the kids, and then had some pancakes and got to meet Santa Claus, which is always a really good time. January, earlier this month, we had our Meet Me in the Paint event where we had all of our kids got to play 5-on-5 basketball against local law enforcement. Huge success. We had about 30 kids playing basketball, another 20 plus kids in the bleachers cheering on their friends. Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever other social media accounts that are out there and stuff. Lots of fun. We're doing it again in April. We also provided pizza, so we played basketball for 2 hours, and then we provided pizza for an hour, and we sat down with all of the law enforcement, and they just got to talk and get to know each other, build relationships up with them. And just get to know that when they take that uniform off, they're humans just like everybody else, right? And just building that relationship up. Like I said, we're doing that again in April. Upcoming events that we have, February, we have our Senior Valentine's Luncheon. You're more than welcome to come and sign up. It'll be on Friday, February 13th from 12 to 2. Large citywide event, we have our Extreme Egg Drop, which happens over at Tarleton Park. That's an annual free event. We drop a ton of Easter eggs out of a helicopter. Bring your kids out there. Tons of fun to be around. Like I said, Meet Me in the Paint. We have open zip pickleball, which we're trying to advertise a lot. Also wanted to take the time to say thank you for everything that you guys do, right? The kids, the community, they can't do what, without all of y'all's voices, right? So we appreciate it. If there's anything that you see or you need, come and see me. My door is always open. Feel free to close, just knock, and then barge your way in like everybody else does. So we'll figure it out. But I'm always open to listening and hearing you guys out and providing any feedback that you guys might have and taking it into account. And then the last piece, we have staff night right back here. They are a new full-time staff member here. They are taking place for Tyler, who just left. And we're excited for what staff night has to bring to the facility. So welcome everybody, and thank you guys for your time, and enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Sorry. Yep.
What's the date?
The date on that one is March 21st, Saturday, March 21st. Yep.
Before Easter.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you know when summer camp registration opens yet?
March most likely again, but they haven't listed out the final date. Actually, it is. It's on my computer. Come see me after this.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Yeah. Food pantry is still here on Wednesdays. Yes. Wednesdays, it starts at 1 o'clock. Usually goes from like 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Just depends on how many people are in line. That flow of traffic.
The drive-through or just walk?
Drive-through. Yep.
Can you walk up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You do either one.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Yes.
We work on that.
Already put work orders in for it. So yeah. I've got like 4 other work orders in for all of our HVAC system as a whole. If you go to other parts of the building, it's cold. This one is warm right now. It was 60 degrees in here this morning.
That's a good thing,
Yeah. But now it's warmed up a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, we put it in, and it only happens when the heat's on. When the AC's working, you don't hear that. So yeah. Yes. Yes. Yep, they just started taking appointments last week for the tax program through Prime Plus. So if you call Prime Plus's phone number between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1 or 2 p.m., it depends on how long they're here that day, they'll be able to get you scheduled. It's a lot easier to just come in person to schedule your tax program, and that's a free tax program. Yep, great question. Any other questions? Awesome. If you guys want, we do have these flyers printed out with all the upcoming events coming up that I just mentioned. They'll be printed out at the front desk. All right.
Great. Thank you, Lee. That's you got. All right. Moving on to featured speakers. So I want to bring up Toth McPhillips. and his team. Chuck's with Next Steps to Success, which if hopefully all of you remember is redeveloping the DePaul Hospital site into a great campus. And he's here to talk about with the parcel on Granby Street and what's going to happen with that.
Thank you, Scott. Hello, everybody. It was about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago, I was here with you talking about, I'll call it my project, if you will, but it's one for the community. It's the Next Step to Success, the St. Vincent Hall House, 10-acre campus, where we'll move our after-school and full-day summer program in roughly 2 years when construction is complete. And I don't have designs of that you've seen them. It's going to be a beautiful campus. And a sanctuary for some great kids as we really enable all these young folks to achieve their God-given potential. By the way, we're now operating at Christ the King School for the next couple of years. You drove by there and saw that we've transformed the environment there, the parking, the landscaping, to make it a nice environment for the kids and staff. And we're having a ribbon cutting there at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. So anybody would like to join us, please join us. We'd love to have you 4 o'clock Wednesday at Christ the King.
Is that where you're operating now?
Yes, sir.
I see.
That's right. We were at Blessed Sacrament School for the first few years. We outgrew that. Blessed Sacrament Church for the first few years, and then we outgrew that. And when Christ King School closed, we took it over, agreement with the diocese, and we fixed it up. And it's a nice place. It's given us the opportunity to grow. So we're up to over 100 youth now. And we hope incrementally over the next 2 years to grow to 200. So the day we move over to DePaul, let's say January 1 or whatever school day starts at 2027, we hope to have 200 students that that day. Ultimately grow to 400 as we expand the campus. And so the design for our campus is the 10 acres fronting on Newport Avenue. Our address, it's going to be called the St. Vincent de Paul House. Nobody lives there, right? But it's trying to evoke the memory of the founder of the hospital who gave her home to the Daughters of Charity in 1855, as well as a homey, comfortable place for the kids to come after they've been in school all day long, and also to fit into the character and scale of the neighborhood. So the frontage will be on Newport Avenue, saving all those trees, beautiful trees, and the address will be 6250 Newport Avenue. And it'll go from obviously the old Painter Street, which is closed, it's a private street now, over to Kingsley, and we'll go 10 acres roughly to where I'm trying to think of a landmark. That would be where the relatively new old Secor medical building is across Kingsley, across from there. So there'll be 5.5 or 5.8 acres roughly from where our campus stops to Granby Street. And as I think I told everybody when I was here last, we had in the plans from the beginning is to select someone that we had confidence in would do something first class that would be enhancement to the neighborhood and be a very good, quite frankly, next door neighbor to us. And so I'm going to introduce you, let you get to know them. Our friends from Stanley Martin Homes, we've been represented by SL Nussbaum process. They introduced us, we got to know them. We've visited their projects in Richmond and seen other displays of them, and very comfortable they'll do something of the highest quality in the marketplace. And what was important to us, it's important that we have more good quality housing of all types around the city, affordable workforce housing. Then also, quite frankly, in Norfolk, only about 45% of households are owner occupied in Norfolk, which is about 20% less than in, say, Virginia Beach. And if you want to share the load in terms of paying real estate taxes and have people who really committed to the community, we need also more owner occupied, for sale homes. And so we decided, nothing wrong with rentals and things like that. People, that's for certain families, certain situations, that's right. But we wanted to, for our next door neighbor, we wanted to have for sale, market rate, high quality homes where families would be our next door neighbor. It would create or enhance the value of the neighborhood and not detract by other factors. So that's what led us to Stanley Martin Homes. They're going to show you a for sale market project that I think will enhance. And then back to my point about needing more owner occupied for sale homes in Norfolk. When this succeeds, and I'm very confident it will, it would create a model for what we can do with other properties around the city that maybe are retired and need a renovation or a replacement to do more owner-occupied homes in some very, nice neighborhoods like where you all live that could stand to be refreshed. So this is beyond just this project, but it's a starting point. And so thank you for welcoming Hunter Taylor and Steve Miller from Stanley Martin Homes, and they'll tell you a little bit about this project, and I'm excited to have them as my next door neighbor. It's very important to us. We are selling them the property at I think it's a fair price. And it's part of our plan of finance to help us build our project. So the plan would be once they've gone through the zoning process and we're firmed up to go forward, then we'll be able to begin construction on our project. So I know Martin will get us on that fast track agenda, right? I hope so. With y'all's support, of course, if we earn that, then hopefully we can get moving on our construction by the end of the second quarter of this year. If you've been by recently, you've noticed that all the vertical stuff is down. Now we're just kind of getting the stuff underground, the old foundations and pilings out. That should be completed by the middle of February. Design is almost complete. We've gotten site plan approval. So it's once we get the final design done, get pricing in on that. Once their project has been approved by the city, then we'll be ready to go. And with the target of completing our project by the end of next year. That's 2 years is going to go very fast for us as we try to ramp up to accomplish something at the scale. We have ambitions and dreams, and prayers that we can do. So we'll turn it over to Hunter and Steve.
Thanks, John. Thank you for letting us come tell you a little bit about what we're doing. My name is Hunter Taylor. I'm the division president for scaling. Steve Miller runs the land department, so director of land. Like Chuck said, all we build is for sale homes, and so we don't build anything that's for rent. And being a builder of for sale homes, it really is about the home and the community and the family that's going to be living there. We've never built in Norfolk. We've built all over Hampton Roads, all over Richmond. And starting this going around and speaking to the different cities, I've really enjoyed it. It's giving me a context for the community engagement. I think I wish more areas did this, but we are excited. Our project, what we handed out is a couple of different renderings showing elevations that we're working within the next month. We'll have finalized exactly what the front of the homes and the architectural design will look like. It's very close to what is in front of you, but we need, one of the things that was really important to Chuck, it should be important to you, is that the integrity and the overall look of the neighborhood. And so before we build anything, it's going to be blessed by Chuck, and then ultimately that's something we'll present to City Council as we go through the rezoning process. So we're going to be building 68 for sale townhomes. They all have 2-car garages, rear loaded, and they will be for sale, but they will be condo ownership, and that's more of a technicality than anything. It means it's one parcel, but every individual owns it as a for sale. And we should be starting the zoning process within 30 days, sometime in March. And hopefully that goes quickly. We're hoping we can get our zoning in place within 4 to 6 months and then start looking at development plans and start construction. I'm happy to answer any questions. Our company, we were started in Northern Virginia in 1966. So we've been building in Virginia for this is going to be our 60th anniversary. We build up and down the East Coast. Right now at Hampton Roads, we have a neighborhood in Cosin that we're finishing up. We're building in a single-family neighborhood in Smithfield, Virginia, single-family detached neighborhood in Suffolk, and the neighborhood in York County. So this will be our, we did do a townhome community similar to this somewhat in Williamsburg back in 2020. So this will be a 5th neighborhood in the area. and have it to.
How many townhomes did you say?
68, right, it could change a little bit as we finalize it.
Where do you envision they would annex with their properties?
You want to talk about the site, right?
Yeah, if you look on the back couple of pages of that packet, there's a site plan, if you could get it. And
On the front page.
the entrances will come, the individual units will come off of an alley in the back of the house for their driveways. But the main access to the property will be off the Kingsland Lane. We're looking at potentially one additional entrance on Gravy Street, if you were to extend Painter all the way down. But that's right where the pump station is, so I'm not sure we're gonna be able to make that connection or not. That shows on the plan that you're looking at, but it may be that both entrances end up coming in off the existing drive where the assisted living place is next to it, and Kingsley Lane. The houses will front Gravy Street, so when you're looking at the community from Gravy Street, you'll see the front of the townhouses instead of the back of them, but there won't be any driveways or access points other than pedestrian access on Gravy Street.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes.
There's guest parking throughout the community, so if you look, the main road that goes in between the townhomes has parallel parking along that street. At the two small common areas in the middle of the property, we've added some head-in parking off of the alleys so that people can park there. And then there's, just in terms of when you're laying out a site like this, sometimes you can't get two rows of housing together. So on that side, on the northern end of the property, there's a significant amount of extra parking there that guests will be able to use. And each car will have a two-car driveway. We always set them up that the driveway is a real full depth driveway, so you can actually park in it if you don't have room in the garage. A lot of people, they don't put stuff in the garage. And we always make sure each of the units has a full depth driveway on it.
Yeah, the designs look nice. But is there a price point that you're targeting?
I think the starting price will be in the upper 400s, and then I think some of the in units could be right around 600.
I'm sorry, the last part?
Probably close to 600 at the high end.
Okay, so
upper
400 to
400s
600,
yeah, that range. I wish we could get it a little lower, because just where housing becomes unaffordable, but it will elevate.
I would prefer that.
Yeah. So they're gonna be very nice.
Of the designs that you have,
The one on the front is where we're the closest one. If you turn over, Latin right there.
The very front.
Yep.
this is the one most likely?
I think so, yeah, we're still working through it, so.
And why is that? Why this in particular?
Just the look that,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but from where the,
Yes, that's,
It's actually a driveway for
it's
the
a
town.
driveway,
Yeah.
it's Painter extended.
well, no, there'll be two entrances toward the northern end of the property. So if you're looking at the site plan in the back, Gravy Street's along the bottom here. This was the entrance that I talked about earlier, potentially the Taylor Street extended. But there is an entrance off of the adjacent street that goes into those other two buildings next door to us on the north side. So you'll be able to come in that way without.
That's the one
And
you're
then
talking
There's a
about.
couple entrances on Kingsley. The alleys come all the way through on Kingsley as well as the main drive going through the community.
Maybe it's the first time that we're hearing about the development tonight.
But
Or
this,
was this always part of the next step?
yeah, we didn't have a design a year ago, but we showed that we were gonna, our campus was always gonna be the 10 acres running on Newport. And then we were gonna try to, we took some proposals from folks. We could have actually sold the product for a lot more money if we'd done some things, but it wouldn't be the best next door neighbor for us or best for the community. Like our partner, quite frankly, we could have sold it for more money. But we were trying to get for sale owner occupied, high quality appearance and quality. And you compare this versus what was proposed for that site in terms of number of units, it's 68 units. It's very little traffic, very little burden on us. So we have the most to say. We're right next door, and so we wanted to get something that was the most compatible with the safety and quality of the environment for our kids.
Then your initial proposal that you put out, the plan that you showed to the community, did it always have residential housing next to your?
We didn't know when we were doing our project. So we've got the whole property rezoned institutional. That's why they have to go through a rezoning. But I told everybody is when we figure out what it is we're going to be able to do with 5.8 acres, we're going to have to come back to you all. So that's every civic league as well as the planning commission, city council. And then it's got to go through its own rezoning process. So this project is the very beginning of it.
Okay, because I do remember seeing pictures of your next
Yes.
step.
You wouldn't have seen a picture of this project.
No.
Yeah, they haven't even submitted their rezoning proposal. This is like, you're in the second civic league who've seen this, West Talbot Park, and they were all enthusiastic about it. We'll go meet with other civic leagues in the area over the next couple months. Very rare.
I feel like you have another question, Brad. No?
No, I'm excited about it. I mean, I was at the Civic League meeting over 10 years ago when they were developing Newport Avenue with the Collins development, and there were other people involved. I was kind of against additional apartments, but I like the single.
Well, thank you. Well, with the new wellness center at one end and us at the other end, I think it's going to make a real big improvement for the area. Beautiful area. We've got a lot at stake. We're making a significant investment in our project, and so we can't afford to make a mistake. I think we have the next one. Honored and happy to endorse this to you all. Hope you all will be supportive.
So would you be on a similar timeline as the campus?
Slightly behind just because
Okay.
of the rezoning and
Okay.
so, and then the development plan.
Right.
So, we think we can, within a year, be breaking ground on development. Year
Okay.
today is our goal. And then, is that, you're about 6 months before that, maybe?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm eager to get going.
yeah.
What was, I don't remember what you said, but what was the square footage of the unit?
Right, 18, starting at 1,800, and then, those are the interior homes. And then any of the homes are a little bit wider, and those are 2,200 square feet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
If there's any other feedback you all think up of afterwards, you can always send it to
I'll
me
use
and I
a
can
business
pass it on
card,
to
if you ever
them.
have any questions,
leave it,
feel
so,
free to
yep.
email me. Just leave it right here. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you for
very
coming.
much.
Excited to have you all doing this. Okay, thank you. Next up, Ramin. You ready? Okay, all right. You've got probably, if I tell you 20 minutes, will you only take a half hour?
Just have somebody in the audience start doing this.
That's
when
right.
when the
I
time
just have
runs.
to make sure I definitely leave some time for updates, and I have to make sure I do elections tonight.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm here for another year.
Well, do this at 5 minutes so that I know I got a timer.
I got you.
But good to see everybody. I'm Ramin Fatehi. I'm your Commonwealth's attorney. It is a pleasure to be able to visit with you all. I think it's probably been the COVID time since I've seen you. And thank you to Scott for the invitation and for giving me 35 minutes to talk to you. It's been my privilege to serve you as Commonwealth's attorney since January 1st of 2022. I was just sworn in for my second term this past January, and this past November marked 19 years that I've been a prosecutor, both here in the United States Attorney's Office in Charlottesville and in Chesapeake for a number of years. Prior to that, I was a public defender, and I am a foreigner. I grew up in Bay Colony in Virginia Beach. But I'm a Norfolk man by choice. I went to Norfolk Academy here, and I got my mother and father to move to Norfolk, and we all live in Colonial Place around the corner from each other. I run one of the largest law firms in Norfolk. We have 42 lawyers and roughly 50 staff, between our victim witness advocates, one of the largest programs in Virginia, our paralegals, our secretaries, and our interns. We handle some 4,000 cases a year, 2,600 felony cases, and roughly 1,400 misdemeanor cases. The difference being that felonies carry up to life in prison, depending on what they are, and misdemeanors carry up to 12 months in jail. I am a progressive prosecutor. I believe in historical fact, which is a very contested thing these days. And that includes things like, 125 or 130 years ago when Black people were getting strung up from trees and people were committing premeditated murder, that only 5% of people who committed those premeditated murders were ever indicted and charged. And that who your daddy is, or where you're from, or what kind of connections you have played an outsized role in the kind of justice that you get. And that who you know has often supplied a degree of home cooking that is not appropriate in a country where we believe that everybody is equal and should be treated equally. These ideas were, they've always been controversial, but I think they've been cast in slightly sharper relief over the course of the last couple of years, as we have seen some of the more quiet instances of home cooking turn into very loud instances of home cooking. And these principles that I believe in are backed by data, by the criminologists who study it, and they are backed by what all of us can see with our own eyes. They're not, by the way, just abstract principles. So we live in a country where for every 100 murders committed, only 60 people are arrested. That's not a Norfolk number, that's an American number. We actually beat that number a little bit in Norfolk pretty much every year. But part of the reason that that number is what it is because people don't trust the system. They don't think that they're going to get justice. They don't think the system is effective. They don't think that the system is even-handed. And what they do is they go out and engage in what my law professor liked to call self-help remedies, also known as shooting it out in the streets. And that if we want that 60% to be 70% or 80%, if we want witnesses to come to court instead of saying, I got jammed and I'm not coming to court for you, if we want our juries to believe evidence, including believe evidence from law enforcement officers and believe that prosecutors aren't just out to comfort the comfortable, then we need to be very public as prosecutors in saying that we believe that we need to do things differently and we own our prior mistakes. So it also means operating by what actually works. I don't know if we have any nurses, any doctors in here, but I picked great parents. My father's a doctor and my mother's a nurse. God said pick parents, and I picked good ones. But a lot of the work that we see as prosecutors is what I'd equate to quack medicine. Ideas like, that mercury will make you better, or that you need to be bled. And what that means is that we have been very ineffective as prosecutors over the course of historical time in figuring out whether what we are doing is actually making a difference or whether it is just wasting time and money. So I am driven by the data about what works. That includes focusing the efforts of my prosecutors on the prosecution of violent crime, holding accountable the people who are killing our neighbors, and understanding that if we are going to apply the hammer of the criminal justice system, that we have to understand what is a nail and what is not. Because when we saddle people with felony records, permanently civilly disabling them and making it very difficult for them not just to vote or sit on juries, but to work, that we better have a good reason to label somebody a felon. That if we are going to ask to put somebody in jail or prison, that we should recognize that the cost is some $40,000 a year in the Norfolk City Jail and some $60,000 a year in the Department of Corrections. And that, well, if somebody is a dangerous rapist or murderer, then the cost is no object. But that if there is not a criminological or public safety purpose to locking somebody up, then mere virtue signaling or doing it the way we've always been doing it is taking $40,000 or $60,000 a year out of our classrooms and our homeless shelters and our food banks. So I'm pleased to have been able to work on these projects with you as your Chief Minister of Justice in the justice system. I am also very pleased and proud to be able to tell you that my political inclinations don't change on whether I'm in a Republican room or a Democratic room. They don't change based on the political winds, either at the state level or nationally. I'm driven by what I would consider to be ideas that should not be politically controversial because they are based on things that are actually efficacious. I came into office with experience in Norfolk, having come up as a line prosecutor and a supervisor, and now as Commonwealth's attorney. And I have had the good fortune of working closely with a number of members of our local governments and up to our state and our national representatives. I had I don't know if you call it the good fortune or the bad fortune, however, of taking office in the middle of the COVID crisis. At which point we saw, everybody said it was a crime wave, it was really a violence wave. We saw a wave of violent behavior that we had not seen in probably 30 years. As a progressive, you can imagine that caused some friction. And when I came in, a number of people in both local and state government said, look, this idea of, maybe you don't need to hit everybody with a hammer, that's all well and good, but it's jungle out there. You need to do this. We're unsafe. You need to walk back your promises about not sending children to adult prison and not seeking mandatory life without parole in every single case. I refused. I refused then, and I continue to refuse. I said then, and was hooted down both in the media and in private, that what we were seeing was a hurricane, and that trying to fight against the social dislocations that came out of the largest pandemic in a century was simply throwing bad cures out after bad circumstances. And a lot of people disagree. But I would tell you that I felt that it was important to weather the storm. And by the way, we have. So I want to run through a couple of numbers for you that I've gotten from the Norfolk Police Department to give you an idea of where we were in 2022 and where we are now. So in 2021, Norfolk saw 64 homicides. That's for 250,000 people. Arlington, by the way, I think saw 4. And if we have another 20 minutes, as an old Virginia Beach guy, I can tell you how the deliberate racial packing and the deliberate packing of poor people in Norfolk beginning in the 1950s and 60s, and the creation of the city of Virginia Beach and the city of Chesapeake have a lot to do with it. But time is limited. But that, by the way, was not an all-time high. We had seen that number under the tenure of Jack Doyle, 2 Commonwealth attorneys before, in the mid-aughts. But it was a temporary spike. Our all-time homicide number was close to 100 in the 1990s. Last year, we had 26. So 64 in 2021, the year before I took office, 63 my first year, when everybody said that I was going to turn Norfolk into anarchy. 26 last year. That number, by the way, I've been in conversations with our sheriff, who was a homicide lieutenant. He had, back in the 90s, he had gone into the card catalogs. He's pretty sure this is the lowest number since 1960. So we are at almost certainly about a 65-year low in homicides in Norfolk. I talk about homicides because they're the hardest number to fake. A lot of people say, well, it's stated crime and whatever, but nobody's rolling corpses into the Elizabeth River to keep the homicide numbers down. They're the hardest number to fake. So a 65-year low in homicides. I could give you the spikes from 2022, but a lot of critics of people like me say, well, that's not the right measure. You should go pre-pandemic. So how about we go through some numbers from 2018? So in 2018, we had 37 homicides in Norfolk. 26 this past year, down 30%. Robberies, 32% down. Rapes, 32% down. Robberies, 49% down. Aggravated assaults, 13% down. Non-fatal shootings, 40% down. Total violent crime, 29% down, including almost 300 fewer violent incidents last year compared to 2018 before the pandemic. Property crime, burglaries down 32%. Larcenies down 11%, which includes, by the way, the one crime that has gone up significantly, shoplifting, and I'll talk about that a little bit time permitting. That's the one thing that's gone up, 95%, and I have a plan. But even including that 95% increase in shopliftings, we still saw an 11% decrease in all larcenies. That included a 39% decrease of parts from automobiles. Everybody remember the great catalytic converter panic of 2022? You know what finally caused it to drop? The drop in the price of platinum. But the part, and larcenies, that means people going into your car or stealing stuff off your car, down 39%. Stolen vehicles, everybody, and this is not from the peak a few years ago. This is from before the Hyundai Kia challenge, down 32%. Miscellaneous larcenies down 25%. Total property crime down 15%. That's 1,300 fewer incidents, 7,200. We had over 11,000 at the peak. So we are talking about a drop across practically every measure that you would care to think of in crimes here in Norfolk. I want to talk about larcenies, but let me talk about who gets credit for all of this going down. Well, the people who gave young people jobs and the people who opened the schools back up. The Brookings Institution did a major study of what caused crime to go up during the pandemic, and they looked at all the usual suspects. Was it George Floyd? Was it the killing of George Floyd? Was it the pandemic itself? It's a very elegant study that they did looking at previous crime spikes in Shreveport, Louisiana. But the bottom line that they came to was that what caused the spike in violence during COVID was young people, adolescents, who were either out of work or out of school, and specifically in census tracts with 30% poverty or more. And that once those people got back to work and back to school, that was the major contributing factor. That the dislocations from COVID were what caused the spike, and this is what caused the subside. Other things that are upstream that I always say everybody calls them social issues, they're public safety issues. A great investment in blue collar jobs over the last few years, and an increase in blue collar employment, especially employment for poorer people. A significant investment in education and in increasing employment in education, get kids back in school. And then investments from the much vilified Biden administration, who I think are as unpopular with Democrats as they are with Republicans at this point. But there were huge investments in everything from childhood poverty to a 9-figure investment in violence interrupters. That is what one of the criminologists, or what the criminologists are thinking may have contributed to the decrease in crime. Because I should have mentioned these Norfolk numbers, they mirror the national numbers. The preliminary numbers are out for murders nationally, and per capita, that is adjusted for population, 2025 is almost certain to be the year in the United States where the per capita homicide rate is the lowest since the FBI kept statistics in 1961. So I want to give some credit to state and local officials. Our state officials passed on a significant amount of that violence interrupter money to the local level. Martin and his colleagues on city council deserve a significant amount of credit for putting that money to work in groups like Community First, who are out there not working for the cops and not working for me, but when a shooting happens, going out and talking to people and telling them not to shoot back. That has helped us significantly. I know it because I'm out at every murder scene day or night myself with my prosecutors, talking to folks who are out there, including the violence interrupters, who say, I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, but I know I'm going to go talk to somebody and make sure this doesn't flare. I also want to give credit to the Norfolk Police Department and to the City Council for funding the police department adequately. We were down a ghastly number of officers in 2022. The city has been heroic in finding ways to both pay and recruit cops. The cops don't by themselves prevent crime, but greater police presence does help. I also want to credit Chief Talbot. If you haven't met this man, he is brilliant. He is a very smart guy. I have my people in his criminal intelligence meetings every week so that we know who the bad people are to put in prison. And he also knows how to allocate resources so that we are able to solve the murders and violent crimes and get people off the street fast. I also want to credit technology. Everybody's probably heard of the flock camera system at this point. And if I would argue that if flock is so bad, why is Lock Haven paying out of their own pockets their civic league to buy 2 flock cameras? They did that. So the flock camera system, I can tell you again, from having been at every murder scene in Norfolk, unless either I was out of town or my wife was out of town and I had to find my children, it is solving cases that would have gone absolutely cold years ago. Absolutely solving them using data who's on public streets. Those are the major things to which I give credit. You know who I don't give any credit to? Me. I deserve no credit for these numbers. Prosecutors do not control the crime rate. I said that in 2022 when people were blaming me for the violence spike. And I said that that's like blaming the meteorologists for poor weather, or the firemen for the fires. And I want to be very clear that I am not at all responsible for these numbers coming down and being low. I wish I were. But it wasn't as if all of us forgot how to prosecute in 22 or the police forgot how to police. It's environmental factors that control this. What I am proud of is this, and what I do take credit for, is being smart, building those relationships with the police department that didn't exist before. Learning from them. This is the list of people who are a problem right now. Focusing my prosecutors on them. Building my entire organizational chart in my office to mirror the work of the Norfolk Police Department, so that their first police precinct has an entire team of prosecutors devoted to that. Second, the same. I take credit for moving cases through our courtrooms. My 42 lawyers tried 79 jury trials last year, which out of the 120 prosecutors' offices puts us at either number 1 or number 2 for trying cases. I take credit for the fact that, with the exception of 2 murder cases, I haven't sent a single child in Norfolk to adult prison in my tenure in office, because children don't belong in adult prison. I take credit for the fact that we are making fewer felons where we don't need to. That if a year is sufficient for punishing somebody, we're not asking for 3 and draining your tax dollars. And I take great credit for keeping my promises to you, for saying that we needed to ride this out, that we didn't need to crush poor people and crush people on low-level offenses, which is who gets crushed when people say get tough. And that I have shown that we do not need to choose between our civil rights and our safety, and that anybody who says that you have to choose is either not leveling with you or is not up on the information. I'm going to keep on doing this work. I want to talk briefly, if I have the time, about shoplifting. And
Go for it.
I'll be brief. I mentioned those 1,400 misdemeanors, right? So, well, prosecutors are the great squeegee men of the Virginia justice system. We are mandated by the state to prosecute, and by prosecuting staff, it doesn't mean throw somebody in prison. It means have a lawyer there to open the file and look at it and figure out what you need to do. Is the person innocent or guilty, first of all, and then what you do. But we are required to prosecute, i.e. staff, all felony cases, and we may in our discretion prosecute, i.e. staff, misdemeanors. And in 2024, 415,000 misdemeanors were charged by police and magistrates. Prosecutors don't charge cases in Virginia. 99% of cases are charged by the cops. 415,000 misdemeanors, $0 from Richmond. They don't give us any money. About 35% of my budget is Richmond. About 45–50% is from the city and the balance grants. And what that means is not just in Norfolk, but in every city in Southampton Roads, a huge number of misdemeanors go to court without a prosecutor present. That doesn't mean, you heard, well, misdemeanors not getting prosecuted in Norfolk. True. If I go and I steal from a Walmart, which is one of the few places where they actually have like cops there to catch you, right? And it's under $1,000, they don't go, well, Fatehi's not going to the courtroom, you're free to go. Please steal from the other section. That person goes to court, they get a defense lawyer, Walmart's got to like find their way to court. If the cop made the arrest, the cop has to find his way to court. And then the cop, the Walmart like employee and the judge engage in this like jack-like triangular pseudo prosecution where there's no prosecutor to guide the progress of the case, but there is a defense lawyer because we're entitled by our Constitution to defense. And that's what happens on larceny cases in 6 of the 7 cities of Hampton Roads. And by the way, it's the one that happens in all 7 of them if I punch any one of you in the nose today, and I'm charged with assault. Assaults, larcenies from automobiles, trespassings, vandalisms, your neighbor who comes and graffitis your front door. If it's under $1,000, no prosecutor. You've got to go and do it yourself. And everybody thinks it's a Norfolk problem, it's a Hampton Roads problem. People get convicted, people go to jail, but what I say to everybody is that the quality of our convictions on the misdemeanors were not present. By the way, I'm present on DUIs, domestic assaults, brandishings of firearms, concealed firearms, stalkings, sexual batteries. We get to 1,400 misdemeanors pretty quickly, but I would be an ethical breach if I took all of them with the 42 prosecutors I have. I can't do it. And neither does any other prosecutor in Hampton Roads. But what I've done over the last couple of years is, especially, for example, when ABC store thefts were in vogue, they're starting to be less fashionable now, but they're still pretty fashionable, is when I was in the criminal intelligence meetings for the police department, they would have guys who would hit the same store 30 times. I'm not exaggerating. But they wouldn't be able to identify them because ABC wasn't permitted to stop them by their management, even though there's a law in Virginia that makes you civilly immune from suit if you do that. So the police just had to wait and hope to catch the guy. And what I told them is, when you catch that guy on his 30 misdemeanors, you tell me who it is, and I will put him in jail. And we were able to grab 4 or 5 of those guys who were responsible for probably 200 of those thefts, which is a good like 15% of the total larceny for the entire damn year. But we're being judicious about it on those cases. But I'm also in the process of negotiating and trying to expand the headcount in my office to be in a position where not just who's stealing from the Harris Teeter at Granby. My wife and I have a disagreement. I'm a Colonial Avenue Harris Teeter guy. She's a Granby Street Harris Teeter gal. The cookies are way too hard. They overcook the chocolate chip cookies. But they're, I want to be able to be in a position to say not just the people who were shoplifting from Granby Street, but whoever punched you in the face at the Pancake House because they didn't like the way you looked at them, or the person who busted out your car window and stole 50 cents worth of change, or the person who's baying at the moon crazy and won't go into treatment. Some of those people are getting convicted now, some are getting acquitted. The wrong people are getting convicted and acquitted in some cases. I want a prosecutor on every single one of those cases so that we can convict the right people, and we can also break the cycle of whatever's causing people to commit low-level offenses, because those people are all coming home. And we want to try and divert them, treat them, so that we don't keep seeing them. So that's my other longer-term project. It's one that I've asked help from the City Council for, and that we're in negotiations about. But my hope over the long term is that I would be able to be there and to help break some of the cycles. It won't make a total difference. What will make a difference is people actually hiring security and stopping people, but I understand why people won't do that. But I'm going to do what I can on my side. I am now done, unless there is time for questions.
Is there,
Chris?
you mentioned, the Walmart thing.
Yes.
They actually have a police officer working at Walmart in the parking lot or something that is part of it, or is it somebody that's just assigned to the case, to Walmart cases?
Neither.
You know,
So,
okay.
what Walmart does is, there are a couple of different ways that you can catch people. Walmart
Can I give you some
generally hires.
background? I'm trying to ask you, as a community, we're about to get a target here. And one of the things that we're a little concerned about is our lack of police presence at Woods Corner. It's been brought up before here at these meetings. We share a police officer with Larchmont all the way to here.
Yep.
And I can remember back in the day where there was a police car that worked just Woods Corner, but there's reasons for that, and I understand that. But one of the things that we're concerned about, we got this great opportunity for this major retailer to come into the area and track other business. And we don't want to see that go down the toilet because we're not being proactive. And I want to know, you mentioned what's going on at Walmart. Maybe you can elaborate on what happens there so we can see what happens with that.
Yeah, and I'll try to answer both 2 or 3 points.
Okay.
The way Walmart does it is they hire off-duty sheriff's deputies.
Okay.
So they pay sheriff's deputies overtime. So those guys are, for the purposes of dealing with shoplifters, they're the cops in terms of what they can do. And they write their reports, they make the arrests, they call the police, and they provide at least a little bit of more professional presence in court. And then again, this is not just Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, everywhere. And Walmart has a reputation for being a place where they're going to make it harder on you if you steal from them. I would argue that it is incumbent on those businesses to make those decisions. I have a good relationship with the loss prevention folks at Target. In fact, I just indicted a guy, actually prosecuted him personally because he was an old defendant of mine from before I stopped really being a real lawyer. And he was a guy I knew, and I knew his history. And I indicted him, and I found out because he violated his probation, and I found out he was up in Henrico County. He was like a homeless guy on a bicycle. He got to Henrico, so he was engaging in organized retail theft. But I called up the Target down here, and I said, hey, have you heard of this guy, Bentroy Steve? Do you know this guy? And they're like, yeah, we know him. I was like, why haven't you charged him? They're like, oh. So they sent me the information. I indicted him. I put him in jail. And it's incumbent on businesses like Target to decide how much resources they want to put into it. To go to the ABC stores, for example. ABC, their loss rate, even after they've been burned to a crisp, their statewide loss rate from shoplifting was 1% of their revenues. They thought about going to counter service, like when you're like Philly.
Back in the old days.
Yeah. They don't want to do that because it'll depress sales.
Right.
There are always liability and violence concerns about stopping people. And I want to tell you about one of the other reasons I want to get in on these misdemeanors. I've had 2 cases just myself in the last several months where it was a misdemeanor shoplifting. It should have been charged as a robbery because there was the use of force and threat of force when the loss prevention folks stepped in. That's a felony robbery, and people need to go to prison for that. And if we're not there to screen those cases and identify them, then they are undercharged. But Target, Walmart, these places are smart. You're right to worry, but if we're part of the reason, by the way, that I'm looking to expand my office is so that we can so that the mayor and the city council and I can say the only place in Hampton Roads where you're guaranteed to get a prosecutor scrutinizing every single case where you can go to jail, including every shoplifting, is going to be Norfolk. And that should give Target some comfort. But Target doesn't employ off-duty sheriff's deputies. They choose not to, but they have a robust loss prevention program. ABC, we have one of those dudes I was talking about that I locked up. They're not going to go away forever. You know, if we can get 2-3 years out of the court system for even a serial ABC thief, we're doing really well, based on what the judges and what the state sentencing guidelines will do. We had one of those guys get out in the last few months, and he got into a shouting match because he went right back into one of those ABC stores, and they said, "Hey, you can't do that." He says, "Yeah, I can, because you're not going to stop me, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do it again." And at least we know his identity because we've arrested him before, so we'll get him and we'll lock him up some more. But there's also the matter that businesses need to take it upon themselves to they don't. I'm not asking people to get hurt, but good camera systems, good loss prevention systems, good anti-theft systems. And you're talking about police coverage. I hear you, but part of the reason that we have 26 homicides last year and why our homicide clearance rate is beating the national average is because we're not a 770-man police force like we were 10 years ago. We're probably our natural equilibrium is, and Martin may correct my number, but it's probably between 500 and 550, even in the best of years, probably 500. And we've managed to use the man hours much more effectively by using technology, but it doesn't matter how great your technology is. 500 people can't do what 770 people do. So there are going to, call times will be longer on lower level stuff. Traffic enforcement isn't going to be what it is. I could give you another 30 minutes, but then Scott will never invite me back about working on speed cameras in the General Assembly. But Target's smart. Like if they thought that they were going to get stolen to death, I don't think they'd be coming in the first place. But I want to be able to do my part, and the police department wants to be able to do their part. The way you all can do your part is just be vigilant, and if you see somebody who looks like they're stealing, go find somebody in a red shirt with a bullseye on it and say, "Hey, I think that guy stole from you." All right, I think.
All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming. Thank you for filling us in. If you guys have, I'm going to keep the meeting moving, but if you do have more questions, we can certainly get them to Ramin afterwards.
And I stay for the whole service, so if you have questions, I know we get kicked out of here at 8, but I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. You want to give your update?
1 minute. 1 minute.
You got it.
Good evening, everybody. A few quick updates, and then I'll try to get out of your way so we can do our elections. Target is on target. Their construction is going well. I did have to connect them, unfortunately, with the police department early last week. They're having some trespassing going on over at the construction site. So now they've talked and they've got a tear letter so that the police can go over there and arrest any trespassers if need be. Real quick on the police staffing. Most recently, in the last few weeks, we're getting beat up because ICE is offering $50,000 signing bonuses to our police officers. So we're having to revisit our pay plan probably very quickly to try to entice as many of those officers to stay as possible. So that's something that we've been working on over the last couple of weeks. Last week, not much got done city staff-wise because we were all planning on the biggest snowstorm of the year. Thankfully, it didn't happen. But we're now eyeballing the possibility of a very large snowstorm this coming weekend. So fingers crossed that goes in another direction as well. The Fitness Wellness Center, all reports are that they're on schedule, as we talked about the last meeting. So they're doing well. Construction's going well over there. The Granby Street bike lanes, as you can see every day, the construction's going well over there. They're also still have to work on installing the pedestrian crossings. So remember, it's also a pedestrian safety plan that's going to be implemented. I do have an update on the pump station. It's the one that's at the corner of North Shore and Granby. I don't know when they're going to start construction, but their status is that they'd like to finish construction, the replacement of that pump station by May of 27. So I assume we'll be hearing some more soon. I'm looking at Scott, Rich. Yes, sorry. We'll hear some more on that probably from city staff soon. An update on 101 Burley. That's the dilapidated house right behind the drive-through for Walgreens. Late last year, city staff gave the owner of the property notice that they were going to tear the property down because it was in extremely poor condition. Property owner came back and said, no, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. They gave him certain metrics they had to meet. By the end of the year, he had to have building permits. By the end of the year, he had to have a certain number of inspections. He did not meet those deadlines, so I received another email. I was copied on another email this past Friday. City staff basically again threatening, hey, we're going to come tear this building down. It's not safe for human habitation. And he kind of ignored them and said, we're working on it. Things are coming along great. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think he's taking the necessary steps that he agreed to take last year to get the building in good shape. So we'll see how things go.
But have you seen it? I mean, he's taken out just about half the windows. There's like no windows on like the third floor. Like none.
And he's going to have to replace them, and he's going to have to get it all inspected. And none of the work that he had done last year had ever been permitted or inspected. So everything he had done is he have to undo to show the inspector.
Is he permitted to work now?
He has a permit right now.
Okay.
He has not asked for any inspections, and he agreed to have a certain number of
Yeah, 'cause
inspections
I've
done.
seen, there was a
People
lot
are
of
working.
activity there last week.
He does have a permit now.
Okay.
So, but he's way behind on these inspections. So we shall see. We're keeping an eye on that. That's as quick as I can go. Anybody have anything they want me to take downtown? Yes, Jim. Those are for the pedestrian crossing that they're installing. Yes, that's a part of the pedestrian crossing. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. It's a part of the whole thing, yes. Remember when we came through, we said not only are we going to make it safer for people on bikes, but we're all going to make it safer for pedestrians. And so we're putting in a couple different pedestrian crossings in that entire section of Granby Street. Some very small portion came from city money. Most of it came from the state smart scale money that we won 7 years ago, something like that. Yes, ma'am.
I have some sidewalks that are quite a bit. I've been putting something in about every year in the app. Do you know a better way that I can get some attention?
If you've already submitted them and it's been a year, email me. Okay. Email me with a picture and a location, and I'll get it. I mean, no one's going to do it in January.
Right.
We'll get it done when it gets warmer. Yes,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Copy yours too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Connor.
Anything on the floor first, you want it?
No, unfortunately, no. There was, he asked about Farm Fresh and writing. Farm Fresh, no, they still haven't have anything to share other than the demolition. They have not brought any plans for redevelopment forward. Rite Aid, they kept telling us they were going to announce a tenant, kept telling us they were going to announce a tenant, and then they let us know that they fell through in the negotiations. So that came. They did ask if they could put a thrift store there, and we told them to do that. Okay? Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. You got time. You got time. No.
All right, thank you all for signing my petition. I'm gonna start with that, so I really appreciate you. So I'm Dr. Del Martin, I'm your school board representative. And I just want to update you on our superintendent search. We had 27 applicants, very impressive resumes sent in. We have narrowed it down to 2 people, but the majority, we already know that we have one person. I can't tell you who it is just yet, but I'm really excited about this candidate. We are meeting on Friday. We're having a special meeting Friday evening, and so we should be able to announce it after that. As far as the redistricting, the right sizing of our school district, there are 2 community meetings that will be on Wednesday, the 28th. The first one is at Northview High School from 3:30 to 5:30, and then the second one would probably be more convenient for y'all. It's at Northside Middle School from 6:30 till 8:30. You don't need to go to both of them, go to one or the other, it's gonna be the same thing. And unless you have any questions for me, I think Hi.
So the week at high school, that you guys are focusing on that night?
We're just gonna hear from the community about all of the schools that we've, yes, that we've listed that are going to be part of the right sizing. So some of them are being shut down, some of them are being consolidated. So we're gonna, talk about that.
So, question, is there any, efforts being made by the school board to create, maybe streets to the schools that are being affected by all of this?
That wouldn't be done by the school board, that's being done by the schools. Yeah, and it's generally what I'm seeing so far is they're starting with the PTA and they're bringing parents in that way. And that's really more of an administrative process. The school board doesn't, the superintendent's in charge of that process and communicating that to the schools.
I know that Fatehi was to the plan, so there's plans for Tanya there at our next meeting in March.
Okay.
But my concern is that it's only a year out, you can consolidation and come against, and there hasn't really been any communication that can be shared with parents, principals, schools, and it's just, it's like, and I know that that's a big issue for our family, but, I can imagine that we're not the only ones that's kind of getting.
So what I can do is I can talk to the superintendent and see what kind of communication plans that he has right now. The issue is though, he's an interim superintendent, so he's been holding the position. Obviously, he's doing a really good job. Dr. James Holt. But we are about to hire a new superintendent. So some of that might still change, and that may be why it's, I'm just speculating, it might have something to do with why he hasn't communicated with him yet. But I'm going to follow up with him. Let him know.
So there was no guidance from the school board when the decision was made to close these schools, or?
We made the decision. The school board made the decision.
Right, I understand. There was no guidance on maybe some communication or anything like that. Because that, I just want to make sure.
I mean, we were looking at the timeline, and there probably may still be some changes down the line. As far as communication, we direct the superintendent who then oversees anything we direct him to do. So I have not seen any communication as of lately.
There was studies done, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so in those studies, but no how we deliver this, no communication part of the study or anything like that. The studies were.
We haven't been updated probably in 2 months. But I think that might have something to do with this transition state. So, which fortunately will be over soon. But I'll follow up and see what kind of plans, because sometimes what happens is you give the direction and they already do this, and then you have the administration down, it gets communicated down to the schools. But what you're saying is that your school's not getting that communication.
I'm not an officer at the DC, but I have been going to all of these services here and there. Typically, significant change.
It is, yes. And that is why I'm running again, because I want to make sure that as the senior vice person on the school board, I want to make sure that we do this correctly. And so, yeah, I agree with you.
Do you see a possibility of some of these deadlines or decisions made while these are going to take place changing? Because of the superintendent search and all of the.
Well, superintendent search is done. We're going to be voting on Friday. So then we're going to have to onboard the superintendent. So we're doing a lot of very substantial things to our district that I don't want to rush, but also we do need to make sure that communication is out. So again, I can ask and see if something has gone out or just hasn't come up to the board. Because things might be being communicated to the schools, to the superintendent, that we haven't seen. Because that happens. We give them the direction and then they implement it. And so that is what's supposed to be happening. So I'm going to look into that and see what I can find out. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, all right. So I don't think we have any other announcements right this second. Gray, why don't I get you to come up and give the quick shakedown ahead of doing any voting on elections? Because technically, people are supposed to be paid members of the Civic League. So this is your moment to shake them down for some dues.
So what do you want me to?
Just tell them how they need to pay their dues.
Oh, yeah, how can you pay your dues? Obviously cash. You can go online to our website and there's a PayPal link on there. Or you can, I think on the website as well is a way to send in a check to my address. Easiest way is PayPal, but you know.
But you don't have to have a
$10,
PayPal
right?
account, right?
You don't have to have a PayPal account. Yes.
Pay the night?
Sure, sure, absolutely.
Yep. And it's $10 for the whole year, right?
$10 for the whole year.
$10 for the calendar year. That's it.
Per household.
Per household, not
Per
per
household.
person, per household. All right.
Okay.
Good? Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Put them on the spot there. Thanks, Gray. All right. So, board elections. Next thing here. So I'm going to read off the proposed slate of officers for 2026. So again, everyone is elected each year. Technically now our bylaws limit people to being in the same position for more than 3 consecutive terms or years. All right, so the proposed slate of officers for 2026 is President Chris DePalma. That would be his first term as president. First Vice President Zach Schwerding. That would be his first term as first Vice President. Second Vice President would be Erin Ward. This actually be her 3rd term. Secretary is Brenda Gregg. There she is. This will also be her 3rd term in that position. Treasurer Gray Sellers. Be his 3rd term. At large, we have 3 at-large members on the proposed slate. First one is Liz Lockwood. This would be her 3rd term. Second one is Dan Graves. This would be his 3rd term. 3rd one is Joel Palser. Sorry, Joel. This would be Joel's 1st term. And then our newsletter editor, Erica Howell, this would be her 2nd term. Okay. So what I need is, before we do discussion, I just need a motion to accept this proposed slate of officers from the floor. So moved. All right. Can I get a second? Second. All right. Any discussion? Anyone else want to throw their hat in? This is that moment. Volunteers step up and grab it, right?
This is your chance to throw your hat in the ring.
If you want to be president, Chris is offering.
Yep.
It's only a 3-year gig now. Okay, well, let me call for a vote then. So all in favor of the proposed slate of officers as stated here, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstain? Okay, well, the motion carries. Our officers will be, as read here, we will get information out to everybody. Do you have an announcement? Oh.
No, we just want to say, Scott, this is Scott's stepping down, and he's going to be running for city council. And I just want to say thank you for your, how many, it's been 10 years now. You and I.
9 years as president,
9 years,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
9 years. And I just want to say thank you for, the time served, and you've been a great president.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been an honor. You all have been a good group. I've been to other civic leagues and they're a little more unruly. So I appreciate the civility that we have here. But I wouldn't have lasted nearly as long. But no, thank you for having me. And with that,
The next meeting?
I'll wrap us up. So our next membership meeting will be March 16th, back here again at 6:30. And in between on Sunday, February 15th, correct, at 4:30 at Guad's, Erin's gonna be running her esteemed bingo. So if you saw it, when was it? Was it October we did it last? So it was a great time. Everyone loved it. Bring the kids. It'd be like a belated Valentine's Day or something. We'll be doing there. That's it. So, okay. Well, thank you, everyone. If you need any more materials from Stanley Martin or their contact information, that's all up here. But appreciate you all coming. Please get home safe and stay warm this week.